Today we're at George Winter County Park, working with the Open Space Council and St. Louis County Parks and community volunteers to cut willows from the pond you see behind me. These willows would be cut into stakes and then transported over to Lower Meramec to be installed by volunteers.
It's a pilot project. We've never done anything like this before, this far down on the Lower Meramec River. So what we've got are a number of areas which have bare banks, so there's no vegetation whatsoever.
When banks don't have any vegetation on them, the floodwaters can rise up, and if you have a turbulent floodwater, it'll erode the stream, taking with it all of that sediment and things that are holding the bank together.
You can actually harvest a piece of a willow tree and then put it in soil or in a bank, and within a few years' time it will grow to be a pretty significant height. And the concept here is that willows thrive on really wet conditions. They're a pretty unique plant in that way. So they can sustain consistent flooding. They can handle being inundated with water for long periods of time.
So this is one of the willow stakes that we cut. It was certainly much, much longer. This is the thicker end, and we cut it at an angle so it's a sharp end. So it's going to go into the soil, into that riverbank. Up here we square it off, cutting it just perfectly square, so then if we can't push it into the ground, we can use a rubber mallet or a wood mallet and just lightly tap it into that riverbank. Let's just say we want 2/3 of this willow stake to be in the ground.
Willow staking provides a great alternative to blanketing a creek bank with rocks in order to keep that creek bank stable. This is a green way to stabilize an area.
It's kind of funny. I talked to a lot of folks in their 70s and 80s, and they tell me that they were actually doing willow staking on their farm creeks and properties when they were having trouble maybe with some of the cattle getting in the creek, causing some additional erosion, that it was a really great model for them.
And so this is kind of going back to a bioengineering, where we're looking to see what can Mother Nature do to help us solve the problem.
Data has continued to show, natural solutions are really the most cost-effective way to protect our riparian zones and also to stop erosion.
It's also providing habitat. So creatures that would kind of hang out on the edges of a creek. It provides cover for them. It also cools down the water that's adjacent, to the land next to it. So that helps for aquatic life as well. So once these willow stakes are staked into the ground at Lower Meramec Park, it'll take a couple years for the roots to really establish and to hold that sediment in and keep the stream bank stable. And we'll be monitoring the site, over the years, making sure that these things thrive and flourish.